just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 79, and it's going to be one of those nights. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz, thank you guys for coming on and listening here on this podcast. Give it a 5-star rating, leave a comment, and if you want to watch it on the video side of things, go to YouTube and type in Bad Weather Fans. Alex, NBA schedule is out. The Nets are going to blow it next year. The Knicks are going to be improved.
They're going to be 82-0.
How the hell are you doing?
82-0 next season after that schedule. We didn't know what the schedule was before they released it. And now we know, and now it's 82-0. Easy.
On Harden and Roberts this week, they brought up a Nets topic, and they posed the question to Evan. Would you rather the Nets just be the 1 seed and, have a good year? They're like a normal 1 seed, 57 to 60 wins, 55 wins, whatever.
Right.
Or would you want to go 74-8, have an all-time season, and then go into the playoffs with the biggest expectations ever?
Well, I know what I would want. I want to know what you think because you're the Nets fan. So that's more important what you think.
What do you think I would want?
You'd want the 57 wins.
That's what you'd think, but I actually want the 74-8. I'm in the mood now for destruction on the league. I want to rain terror on the league, and I want to fuck up the National Basketball Association. Now, yes, would I be a nervous wreck and really, really, really scared when the Nets are going into the playoffs and going up against the upstart Magic that made the 8 seed? Yeah, I'd be a little nervous about it. Mm-hmm. But I love the idea of never losing and then going in there to become arguably the best team in the history of the league. So I hear that, but in the moment, you're going to always root for wins. So I take the 74-8. As crazy as that sounds, I would welcome the pressure, even though you normally get the insecure Mike Biseglia side of things. Yeah, I'd like it.
I think there's nothing changes for you regardless of what your record is. So why not go for it is my opinion. Yeah. Because you're already the most hated team. You're already the team that's a super team. Don't give me the Lakers who just added a bunch of 100-year-olds to their roster. You know what I mean? And Russell Westbrook is a big addition. Don't get me wrong. But other than that, the rest of them is nothing, so it's just the Nets are the team, man. The Nets are the super team. The Nets are the team. If they're healthy, they're going to win the championship. It's just they should be. They're the favorite by far to win the championship. So what's the difference if they're 74-8 or if they're 57 and whatever? I can't do math. So why not? You know what I mean? So, it just brings up an interesting question, a sidebar real quick. What do you think is the actual record? Do you think it's the Bulls 72-10 because they won the championship, or do you think it's the Warriors 73-9 because they lost? I know it's a regular season championship, but people look at the Warriors regular season record wins as since they blew it in the finals to LeBron and that incredible Cavs championship.
Yeah, I think that all just adds to the story, and it's actually part of the reason that Kevin Durant's here, because he went to the Warriors after that season, and then everything that happened, the fallout there comes to Brooklyn, whatever, it all played out. So you asking me what I view as the best team ever then?
Yeah, what is that record fake? Is it a Barry Bonds home run championship or or is it
it's just not enough. I mean, they were great in the regular season, but it just doesn't
home run championship. You know what I mean? Home run record. I said championship.
Yeah. No, if you don't win the championship, it's like the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? The Pats had that going when they're 19-0 and then lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. It's the same thing. Yeah. If you don't get that one win that matters, that's to me. Think about this, Alex. They went 73-9.
How's it possible?
And that is absurd. Mm-hmm. 9 losses on the course of one season. Holy shit.
10 is nothing too. And I remember that the Knicks had one game where they beat the Bulls by 20 or 30 at the Garden in that 72-10 season. And people still remember that. I mean, I do. I remember that, the crowd was going nuts. It was just crazy. And it was just, so it's just you remember those moments because wow, we beat that team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once. And then, people always say that Jordan, that season, that in the finals versus the Sonics, like they kind of like, not that they mailed it in a finals game, but they're kind of like, we're okay losing and winning it at home. Like, you know what I mean? Like lose
they
that
went
game in
up
Seattle.
3-0, and then
Yeah.
I believe Seattle won the next 2 to make it 3-2.
They were like, let's win this at
Right.
home. The Bulls fans deserve to see this championship kind of a thing. I know they didn't do that on purpose, but like, who knows? Maybe they took their foot off the gas. My boy Scott Williams wasn't there though. That's it.
I think the Nets defeated the Bulls that year also. I'd have to double check on the season that it was, because I remember we went to a Nets game, my dad and I.
Yeah.
And we were joking around. I was like, shit, 96. I'm like 13 years old. And I said to my dad, if the Nets win tonight, will you get me a video game? And he's like, sure, we'll do it. And I remember he paid up and he bought a video game for me, like NBA video game. But I don't remember if it was that Bulls season where they went 72-10, or it was just another. I mean, the Bulls had so many championships; it's all kind of meshed together.
Right.
Look up now.
So okay, I got it. They lost to the Magic in Game 6, so that's crazy. So they were only 5-1, and they went 72-10. Lost to the Sonics in Game 12. Lost to the Pacers in Game 26. Then they went on an incredible run, and they actually lost 2 in a row to the Nuggets and the Suns. So Barkley got one on him. They lost to the Heat in Game 54. Lost to the Knicks in Game 61, 104-72. Like,
Jeez.
that's incredible. I can tell you, it was like a crazy.
Jordan rested that day.
Yeah, he played.
He didn't play.
I just remember one of the last shots of that game was Starks hit this 3, and it was like money, and the crowd just went freaking bananas. But the Raptors beat them by 1 in Game 68. Hornets won in Game 75, and the Pacers won in Game 81. So you lied, Mike. You lied. That's all.
I did. The Nets did beat I saw them beat Jordan. I did see it. It was a different.
Maybe it was another year. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they all blend together.
Maybe I made this whole story up. Alex, what?
You don't even have a dad. I mean, what's?
Oh, stop it. What do you make of this Zion Williamson to the Knicks rumors?
Oh, gosh. That is like the classic story that drives me crazy, as you know. Like, so if people don't know, I'm not going to give people the credit on the podcast of who wrote the story and the writer on Twitter that brought it to the forefront. So if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know. But basically, connecting the dots that Zion Williamson is a CAA client, and a bunch of people at ESPN are a bunch of CAA clients. And Leon Rose is obviously CAA, and Tibbs is CAA, and all of these guys are all in bed together. And ESPN is actually concocting this way that the Knicks are ESPN, ESPN is a Knicks, and that's why Zion is going to come to the Knicks in 4 years when he's a free agent or whenever it is. And that is the most absurd thing in the world, because there's nothing. Let me back up. There's nothing in NBA. I could talk NBA all day long. I said this on Twitter recently at Knicks Central, maybe yesterday or the day before. There's nothing that bores me more than talking about agencies. Who's rep by this guy, and this guy's rep by this one. That means he's going to go here and that and that. None of that freaking matters. If a player wants to go somewhere, they're going to go there. It might affect the player's salaries here and there within a few million up and down, doing favors for teams. Right. But it doesn't affect my life. It doesn't affect your life. It's like, I don't know. It just gets me so mad, because it's just, oh yeah, so now ESPN the last few years and then trashing the Knicks with the nonstop, like that was just all part of the coup to get Zion to the Knicks. Like, give me a break, dude. Like, it's just I don't know, man. It's just, remember all this free agency with the Nets and Durant in 2019. It's like, and the Knicks, and it's like, oh, look at this. Royal Ivy's the coach of the Knicks, and this guy's here with the Knicks, and this guy's with the Knicks. All the reporters saying Knicks. It's a foregone conclusion Durant's going there. And then he signs with the Nets. So it's just like, I mean, I think it was because of the injury that made Kyrie pick the team, and he, whatever. The Knicks didn't want Kyrie alone, this, that, and the other thing, whatever. But that doesn't even matter anymore, But the point is that he signed with the Nets. So the agency stuff, all the connecting of the imaginary dots that everybody did, none of that meant a damn thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I do think the life beat of this podcast does stem from Kevin Durant and that whole report going to the Nets. And I think that's kind of like the lifeline of it. So yeah, it doesn't matter, but always pay respects to the greatest net signing in the history of their franchise, signing Kevin Durant and getting him to come to Brooklyn. Also, I do think I think Durant's made for Brooklyn more than he is made for the Knicks. Now that I don't mean that like he can't take the center stage or the spotlight, because I think that's all bullshit. I think that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I think he just likes the vibe. I think it's more of his vibe. It's just like, hey, it's Brooklyn, it's chill. But the idea that he doesn't like the center stage, I think, is absurd. The guy performs so well when he's on the court. I don't think that matters at all. I just think his vibe is closer to the Brooklyn feeling.
That's fair.
And in terms of the Zion stuff, yeah, I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd to have those conversations, and it's doing their job. They got people to talk about it. They got people to tweet about it, and then would I be shocked if Zion ended up with the Knicks if in a couple of years him and RJ Barrett wanted to team up? The Knicks have had success. They move things around. They take themselves to the next level. Wouldn't be stunned. But then for this, this is just. I mean, it's essentially glorified clickbait.
Right. What is it then? What is it?
What do you mean? What is it?
What is it? What do you think it is? What would I call it?
What would you call it? Nah, fuck off.
It's saying Knicks for clicks. It's exactly what it is, to a T. But I respect the long game of this guy, because now he's got this story in his back pocket for years, and people are going to go back if Zion signs with the Knicks. Like, look at this. I told you. Eureka. I told you years ago, and look what I did. And then if he doesn't, they have a way to laugh at the Knicks and say, oh, look at that. You had all these connections and you still couldn't land Zion. You know what I mean? It's either or now. And it's just like ridiculous. It just drives me crazy, because it's just, you don't need to do this. Like, just watch it. Now this guy is going to be on podcasts. He's going to get his followers up. All these thirsty Knicks podcasts are going to get him on to talk about it and get clicks and get their views and whatever. I'm just not built like, I'm not going to reach out to the guy. You know what I'm saying? Well, he's not a huge star. We can get him on if we wanted to, but I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't want a guy on like that. I've got a surprise for you, Alex. Waiting in the Zoom chat room.
I'll see you later.
No, I'm just kidding. I know. I get it. I get it. And it has to be frustrating for you as somebody that's, heard all this stuff and went through everything with Durant and has gone through this a million times with other free agents, to then just hear the same kind of bullshit when your team is doing things the right way.
Right. The right way. The right way.
The culture way.
The culture way. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Cooney's, who follows the show on Twitter, he said something that annoyed me.
Oh.
He never annoys me because he's a good Knicks fan, but he said something that annoyed me.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
And I'm curious to get your take on this, because maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, we were getting into it, and he was saying in Twitter, not real life,
in the Twitter world, as you call it.
He was saying, he was saying, hey, I'm going to the Garden for the first Nets game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm looking forward to it just being a sea of orange and blue again, and no Net fans, blah blah blah.
Oh.
And I said, I think the Nets took a big step last year. I think it's going to be better than you think. And he said, well, it took them to get to Game 7 versus the Bucks for it to get loud. And I said, you know what? Okay. But if that's what it took, that's what it took. And I said, when you were growing up and you were 12-year-old Coonies, you were 11-year-old, 10 years old, and you saw Jordan play the Knicks and Jordan beat the Knicks and you got excited, that made you a Knicks fan. Why can't a 10, 12, 13-year-old or a younger person see that moment and be like, yeah, that's when I got excited about the Nets, and that's when I jumped on, and that's when I got into it. And he said, well, they're not homegrown players. And I said, well, I mean, what does it matter? Especially in this day and age, because I think the homegrown player adage is kind of overused and cliche in the sense of like, let's use that as a crutch, because in the modern sports world, there are no more relationships like that. Yeah, it's really awesome if you can get a guy on your team for a certain amount of years and he sticks around. That's great. And you love that guy. And there's something very special about it. But I would say in today's day and age in the NBA, that's more of an anomaly than reality. So I think those are the moments like the Nets Bucks in that Game 7 and Game 5. Game 5 was a win. Game 7 was a loss. Yeah, make fun of the Nets that it took that long for it to get really, really hyped up. But I still think those moments matter. And if that's what it took, that's what it took. And I think it's a minimizing it took that much to get there, because you have to find something to critique them on. But those are the moments that build fan bases, like it or not. That made a difference. So I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as let's go to the Barclays Center and it's all Knicks fans. I mean, I do think when the Nets go to MSG, it might be a lot more Net fans. I'm just kidding, Cooney.
Well,
but my point is, I don't think it's as simple and cut and dry as, oh, they only got loud because it was that round. No, that's how you build shit.
Mm-hmm. No, and we talk about this on the podcast often. I hear you. That's how you build shit. And like, we'll only know if this big three era the mercenary era is going to last and build up a fan base. If like I'm just getting under your skin. You were drinking water, so I could get a shot at it and you couldn't say anything. But if this big three era, like when it ends, and like even if they win a championship, it doesn't matter. Is the point of my story is that we'll know if they build up a fan base if those fans are still coming years after that, when they go down to being a normal team, when they're 500 or below, or they bottom out, or whatever it is.
Whenever it happens,
we'll know what it is, because the Knicks have been bottoming out for a while, a few good years here and there, and they still kept their fan base because they have such a deep rooted history with the families and this, and my dad and my grandfather and this guy and that guy and my uncle, my cousin, everybody is a Knicks fan. So we're all Knicks fans. So they can suck for 20 years and we'll still be fans. Yeah. But there's a lot of fans that, left the Knicks, like the casual fans left the Knicks from the 90s. Not a lot. I don't want to say a lot, but there were fans that stopped, just got disinterested in basketball when the Knicks stunk. You know what I mean? They're like, forget it. And now they're coming back, but like it takes, like Spike Lee said it like once I hate to quote him, but he said it once, like he was like, the Knicks fan that's been around and remembers the Knicks from the 90s and been a fan for a long time, or even even whatever, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to become Nets fans. Like those guys are gone. Like me, I'm not going to become, hey, I'm a Nets fan now. You were never a real Knicks fan then, but they're the guy who was a casual fan, or just like there's a lot of NBA fans who just like stars. They just like the stars. So like, hey, I just like the stars and they're playing in Brooklyn. They're right here. F the Knicks. I was never a fan anyway. I'm a Nets fan now. Let me rock this Brooklyn hat and like, let's go to a game. And like a lot of the fans at the Garden for a Warriors game, there'd be a million Warriors fans for like a couple of years ago. But now you go to a Warriors game, and I mean, you go to a Warriors game in 5 years when Steph isn't there anymore. There doesn't mean no Warriors fans at the Garden. You know what I'm saying? Because Warriors fans aren't really Warriors fans. They're just fans of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You know what I mean? So that's just the point, is that we'll see if the fan base is really built up, if they're still here when they're down again. I
do have visions of going to Madison Square Garden and seeing the Nets beat the Knicks. That would be I would love that.
But you don't want to go there with me and then the Knicks beat the Nets, and then
that would be a disaster. No, that would suck. That would suck as one of our 8 losses of the season. I remember I was a senior in high school, and that was the year the Nets all of a sudden magically got good and went into the Garden. And this guy, his name was Jordan Vitters, and he had tickets. And he invited me to the game because he knew I was a Nets fan. And we went to see Knicks. And the Nets beat the Knicks in the Garden. I'll never forget. The Nets hit 14 threes that day. Okay. And I say that, you go 14 threes, whatever.
That's a big deal.
At the time, they went crazy with threes and they just barraged them. And the gratification that it was to go into Madison Square Garden and defeat the Knicks was just the best. And we've had Richard Jefferson on the podcast, and he had talked about the same thing. He went into MSG, and it was so much fun to beat the shit out of the Knicks.
Yeah, and then go out and party in their city and do all that stuff, like he said. Yeah.
And I mean, like then I'm sure the Knicks fan was just like, oh, that's annoying loss. And the Knicks in that season were slumping down, and they became a bad team. I mean, this year when the Nets go into the Garden, there's going to be an intensity. There's going to be an intensity from the Knicks fan who's going to be riled up, who's going to get pumped, who's at the crowd, the players. So I cannot wait to go. I want to go. We should go to a Nets-Knicks game at the Garden.
The first one.
Broadcast before. That'd be fun.
Yeah. As long as it's not my wedding or my honeymoon, I'm down.
It's October or something, right? The schedule came out, or they're playing each other.
Hold on.
To have it in front of them, they're playing each other at some point early on, and then they play each other a lot on the back end.
Yeah, I don't know what the well, whatever. We'll look it up later. Everybody knows. We'll figure that out. But that we can get into. That's a good point, and that'll be fun, and we should definitely do that. We can record here in my apartment since I'm down the block in the Garden, and we can go and we can maybe do a Twitter Spaces before Knicksnet Twitter Spaces, and then go to the Garden and then do a podcast after, and Bad with the fans would be well represented at the Garden. Maybe.
Oh my God,
that'd be fun.
That would be fun to meet everybody. Like I always think that's interesting too, because everybody's such
weird
assholes on Twitter and the way they communicate back and forth. And then you meet somebody in real life, you're like,
right.
You're a nice.
All these guys that hate me, they're probably going, oh, hey, Alex, how's it going?
Well, how many we've had Net fans that listen to this podcast that did not like you, and now they're like you're buddies with them.
Yeah, now we're best friends. Exactly.
And you're like DMing with people. I'm like,
my boy Scary Hours.
Here?
Yeah. So speaking of Nets fans, so we had the comment, the contest of who can be the 150th commenter or ratinger on Apple Podcasts, and our boy Zane Nathani, so he's at Zane Nathani 1. won the contest. He wrote a very nice comment for us on Apple, and it was unexpected to how nice it was. I didn't ask for that. So he wrote, the subject was two non-obnoxious New York fans. It's a great listen. Both Mike and Alex embody the diehard fan who are locked in to this local sports scene. This is not some national media nonsense. We came for Kevin Durant and Julius Randle, but stayed for TLC and Alfred Payton. If you know, you know. So being called non-obnoxious is probably the most breaking news on this whole podcast.
And then he made a TLC joke. I told you Net fans hated him.
Yeah, they hate him, man. That's crazy. So he's the Alfred Payton of the Nets.
Yes.
So
yes.
It just goes to show you. It goes to show you, even if you have a super team, you still hate somebody on your team. There's always that one person that you hate.
Of course. The only, the difference is, TLC wasn't our starting shooting guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hayden was, your starting point guard. But that's, I'm not. Right. That's a different conversation. But I love the comment. We appreciate that. That's cool to hear because you are obnoxious.
I am. I mean, I have my moments. I have my moments, but I'm only obnoxious to people who are obnoxious to me. People, I have a very weird sense of humor. And if somebody responds to my sense of humor in like a negative way, then I'm like, I have no control but to, come after that person in an obnoxious way.
Yeah. Well, it just
this is what it is.
Twitter brings it out of people, dude. I mean, it really does bring out the shit on people. It brings out the worst. It's just so easy to hide behind the wall and be able to do that. I mean, I'm at fault at it too. I'm not going to deny that. Trying to be better at it. Now, see, if anybody ever sees you and I interacting on Twitter and it's getting angry, it's most likely bullshit. There's been a couple of times I could say you got on my nerves.
Yeah.
But I always know how to just dial it back.
Yeah, because it's not serious. Sometimes it's my opinion, and you might have a problem with it. And we tended to agree more than we thought we would at first when we first started this podcast. But more disagreements to come. I mean, that's all I have to say.
The season starts again. They'll come because there's just going to be something.
As long as Dolan J. Trump is not on the podcast making us fight with each other. That one time we argued like crazy when he was on over Dinwiddie.
I don't know what it is, but he brings it out of us. He knows. I think because he was a Nets fan. Yeah. And now he is a fan of the team from the other side of the river. I think that he knows how to incite me. I will tell you that. And I have a hard time probably bringing it back when he goes after me. And I don't know how to control myself on that regard. So he incites me and brings it out of me. He's a puppet master. He really is a puppet master.
He knows the Knicks fan and he was a Net fan. So he knows, and he's a Knicks fan now and was a Net fan. So he knows both and he knows what gets under both of our skins.
No, he does a good job with it.
Yeah. Okay. So Zane's question, he goes, I'm a diehard Nets fan, but I want to ask a question to you and other fellow Knicks fans. In all honesty, how much of last season's success do you feel is replicable, and how far would this team need to go to be successful, to be a successful season? Like, how far do you think they need to go to have a successful season? Would another first round exit be a disappointment or still a step in the right direction? It really depends, because if they have a great season, they're a 4 or 5 seed again, and then they go 7 in the first round and they lose on some heartbreaking kind of loss, or even if they take it down to the wire, it'll suck. But I can still look at it all right, we showed up this year in the playoffs. You know what I mean? We lost, and it's just so hard to do that because it's all about the journey. You know what I mean? If we can pivot to a Jets thing right now, if you tell me the Jets win 7 games this year, I would be over the moon excited, right? 7 wins, 7 and 9, 7 and what is it? 7 and 10 now. So 7 and 10 now, I'd be wow, that's a huge step up from 2 wins when they should have had 0. And last year when they won 2 last year, when Ty Johnson went off, so they got 7 wins this year after having 2 last year. That's a huge improvement. But if they start off 5 and 3 and then they go 7 and 10, I'll be pissed off, you know? So it's kind of it's kind of hard to gauge that, but I can say to be a successful season, they need to win a round in the playoffs, and but it also, there's injuries and things that can come up, but not to cop out and not answer. So I think I would like to see a round 1 in the playoffs, unless they're if they're playing the Nets in the first round, I can't expect that. If they're playing a team like the Bucks, if they make a huge trade and get Dame and they're playing them in the first round, then it's you can't really get upset. You know what I mean? If they're playing a team at the Hawks level again next year in the first round and they get embarrassed in 5, it's not a successful season.
So Knicks Heat, Knicks Celtics.
Yeah, and they win and they lose. They better win that series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll give a little nuance on I'm not a fan of the Knicks, but I am a fan of the Nets. But I'll give a little nuance on how I feel about that as well. I think a lot of it depends on how you get there and what happens during the season. For example, if I said, hey, Who do you want to have a better season next year? Kemba Walker or RJ Barrett? What would your answer be?
RJ Barrett.
So let's say Kemba like finds the fountain of youth and is great, like turns it back. And RJ Barrett, I don't know what the hell happens and is terrible, but you're like, oh, Kemba was good. Kemba, found some of his Charlotte youth, plays really well.
25 points a game again, right? Like something crazy. Yeah.
Ass. But RJ Barrett and Obi Toppin take steps back. You'll be like, okay, that was great.
A fun year, but
what's our plan in the long term? So I think there's a little nuance to that where you need to see guys like RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, the rookie class have development. Julius Randle continue the success that he had from the previous season. Then you feel so that all that can change a little bit about how you feel about a season. If Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker are your two best Knicks, you'll be like, great signings, but fuck, this is not. We got some. All of a sudden, we've got some issues.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like a successful season, sure, it'd be a successful season, but what are we? You know what I mean? Like, it's just
right.
It's like a Jets reference again. The 2015 Jets, they go 10-16, they lose week 17, and then they were an old team, and then what the hell are we? You know what I mean? And it's just what happened. So it's kind of like you're right. So it's weird, but it's also like, there's so many questions and variables there. Like, do we get there? Does Mitch take a step forward? And Mitch takes a step forward, and he's like defensive player of the year, like we think he could be, or contending for defensive player of the year, and quickly takes a step and looks like a real player, and then Randall stays the same, and Kemba goes off, then RJ takes a step back. That sucks, but then it's a successful season. You know what I mean? But RJ Barrett really is the key to this franchise. Like, he really is the key to the future of the franchise. Like, he needs to take a step up this year, and I really think he will, because I feel like he's got the desire to do that. I don't care what happened in the Olympics with the Canada team and not even qualifying, but that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, that was just some extra experience playing some games against international competition, and that's fine. But like, I do think that he's going to take a step. I really, really don't think that there's gonna be a problem there. I think at the very least he's gonna be the same thing as last year, which is very productive. So it's hard. It's hard to say, but I do think that I want to win a round in the season. If we're in one of those middle seeds and they're playing a team like the Hawks or the Celtics or the Heat or whoever, the Hornets, win that series. Like, win that series. Now you have the playoff experience. You have no excuse. You're not overwhelmed. Julius Randle, I expect him to have a better playoffs this time around based on his personality. So, like, I do think that, it depends. But I like, if they lose a series like that in 7, in hindsight, like, I'll be a little bit better with it than I am with getting punked in 5 on your home floor by the Hawks this year. So it's hard to say.
That word punked, man, people, it seems to be a triggering word.
Yeah, but this is what happened. You know what I mean? But learn from it. Don't be afraid to fight the next time. I don't think they will be, and they'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sometimes you get your ass kicked. We've all lost fights in our life. I've lost fights. Like, sometimes you get your ass kicked. You have to, get up and fight again the next day. Like,
you ever been in a fight?
Yeah, a couple times, man. Like, it's part of life, man. You get into fights. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you win.
I got into it.
I'm not some tough guy over here, but like, sometimes you have to square up. Like,
There was a time, and I was dating a girl, and she lived in Long Island, and
first problem.
Yeah,
I was kidding. My fiance is from Long Island. I'm just
okay. Yeah. She listen.
Yeah, when I tell her to, like, they tell her to, like, I can order her around. Just like when I'd be like, hey, you should hear this part. Like, that's the only time she'll listen. Yeah.
All right. Well, so
I was so wrong when I tell her to, when I direct her to go and listen to this right now.
Bad Weather Fans, episode 79. Listen, so I went with my friend, and we went to a party in Long Island, and I was kind of seeing this girl, and she was like a complete sociopath in the sense of she lied to me a lot and said she had like brothers in tennis camp. Like, she made up like
she was a smoke show. Yeah, there's no mess. Yeah,
so she just lied. She just lied to me, and I was insecure, whatever. So I fell for it. So we went to this one party in Long Island, and somebody said, like, hey, this is somebody, and they got me confused for somebody else. And a couple of guys just started beating the shit out of me because they thought I was somebody else with this girl and not them. Wow. And I'll never forget that fight, because somebody came over, just beat the crap out of me, and I wanted to hide it from my parents, so they didn't know about it. And I'll never forget, like,
face. Lucky that you
no, not in the face, but I took my shirt off to shower, and I had these bruises all over me, and my parents were like, what the fuck is going on here? I was like, well,
Let me tell you a story.
Long Island.
What town? What town in Long Island?
I forget. I couldn't even tell you. So they're all the same to me.
Yeah, no, for me it's different. But
Yeah,
like you can have a whole conversation about Northern New Jersey restaurants, and to me that's like, what the hell is that?
You want to do it? Let's go right now. You want to do Essex or Bergen to start? What are you in the mood for? I'll let you pick the county because I'm that kind of guy tonight.
Yeah, so that's me. I'm the Long Island guy. So like, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But that sucks, man. Getting jumped. I can't say I've ever been jumped, man. That fucking sucks.
It wasn't jumped. It was more, they weren't like tough guys. It was just more of like pitter patter.
Right. Like, oh, quick. Dude, stop. Like, what the hell? Yeah, kind of thing.
Can I bring up a topic about James Harden we didn't bring it up last week, and I wanted to bring about this up because he was asked about if the Nets were healthy, would they win the championship? And he responded with yes. So I'm confused why people give him shit for that. But then, like, you ask the same person, hey, if the Nets were healthy, do you think they win the title? Yes. So what is James Harden supposed to answer with? That really surprised me that people were like, James Harden says if the Nets were healthy, they'd win the title. What is he supposed to say? I mean,
yeah, it's a setup. It's a setup question.
It's a total setup question. It really bothered me because then the same people will go ahead and be like, yeah, I agree with him, but I don't like that he said it. I like that he said it. He feels confident about his team. Now, you got to go out and show it. You got to do it. You're adding pressure to yourself. But what the fuck else is he supposed to say? Yeah, when we're healthy, that's a big if. Yeah, I think we're the best team in the league. We're going to go out and win title. That's what everybody else thinks. But when it comes from his mouth, it's like, oh my God, James Harden said this. Can you believe that this guy would even have that kind of comment? Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, that's a setup question. I mean, like, what is he supposed to say? That was like the Cade Cunningham question that we talked about last week when they said who's better, LeBron or Jordan. And he's like, like LeBron. And we laughed about it because, he's seen LeBron in the finals the majority of his life. Like, you know what I mean? Who is he supposed to think is the greatest? You know what I mean? So it's just like, what is Harden supposed to say? Like, yeah, no, if I was healthy, we would have lost in 6 to the Bucks anyway. The setup Trey would have kicked our ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you supposed to say? It's ridiculous.
What's more annoying, the setup question, or this is something that's become like a summertime tradition?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know where I'm going.
I think
so.
Where
I'm going?
I think so.
Where do you think? Let's see if we've done this podcast enough where you know where I'm going. It's a summertime tradition in the NBA. This is annoying, and it is.
Who the Knicks going to sign as a free agent?
No, it's not that. It's the workout videos to show players progressing. And they're like, look at him play. And I'm going,
Cody Mello.
Yeah, he's
made that famous.
Fucking Cody playing Mello. Against me.
Yeah,
These are NBA. These are the best 200 human beings in the world. Yeah, they look good against the broom.
Right.
What do you expect? He's not gonna miss. And it's like, oh boy, like this is the one that killed me, Alex. DeAndre Jordan putting in work with these lateral movements. I'm going.
Or Ben Simmons shooting a 3.
The Ben Simmons threes. Oh my God. Enough of the Ben Simmons shooting threes videos. That's the king. Those are the worst. Ben Simmons putting up threes in a rec league game versus the Jewish Community Center. It's like, okay. Can he do it against the fucking Hawks? I hate that. The Ben Simmons ones are the worst. Like, he made a 3, and it's somebody guarding him that can't get. Yes, he made a 3, but why can't he then do it when he's going up against high-level athletes on the defensive side? He had issues against, DeAndre Hunter. He couldn't shoot threes, but now he can. I mean, it's like so stupid.
Or like Mitchell Robinson was cashing threes in the gym last year too, and I don't think he took one the whole season. It's like, and he was crossing people. We were joking about it last year on the podcast. And
it's the worst.
And Knicks fans were eating it up, man. Like, and I'm just like, can you guys chill? And they're like, Alex, you're such a hater. And I'm like, okay, man, I'm a hater. You know what I mean? Like, how many threes did he hit this year? How many? And then the other thing that's funny to me, another topic that I want to bring up is that people are saying, oh, you can't blame RJ Barrett for his poor performance. Look at all the minutes he played with Elfrid Payton. Somebody put all the minutes up there and he's so bad. I'm like, all right, well then why did you get so mad at me for getting pissed off last offseason when they didn't have more talent? Like, you know what I mean? You can't be okay with you can't be mad at RJ or excuse RJ Barrett for being for playing with Alfred Payton and not being as productive because of that, but then also get mad at me for saying that they needed more talent last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, even that, like, be consistent, man.
But
like,
let's see what happens then with this year when he has Kemba Walker next to
Kemba and Rose the whole season, and quickly took another step forward. Like, we'll see what happens, man.
God,
That's
it's
exciting.
annoying. The Knicks have depth, and that's kind of annoying.
It's kind of scary, right? It's kind of scary for you.
They've got depth. They've got
you don't know about McBride. McBride could be a player, a second round pick, look good in the summer league. You don't know, man. Maybe he's a steal. Perry has shown that he can get these second round guys, man. He got Mitchell Robinson, and he's a second round guy, and let's see what happens. The Melo trade, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that Mitchell Robinson up in the Melo trade.
You see what Porzingis' ranking was in NBA 2K?
No, I didn't see that actually.
I think it was like a 68 or 69.
That was for real? I thought that was a fake thing.
Then I fell for it.
Yeah, you probably fell for it. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Okay,
people get so wrapped up in these ratings, man, and they change every week anyway. Like, just like relax. You know what I mean? Like, this player had a good week, so like,
I'm just trying to make you feel good because I know you hate his fucking guts. I'm just trying to help you out and make you feel better.
Thank you. It's a little less this year because the Knicks don't have their pick, and like, so now it's like this year I can like kind of get over it a little bit. It doesn't affect me like completely, even though if he like has a couple off nights and is not effective or sits out for a long period of time due to some minor injury, then I'll kind of like, get some joy out of that, not because he's injured, but just because like, look at the bullet we dodged. We're not paying a max player to a guy who doesn't play, so.
Well, I love Dallas getting Jared Dudley as an assistant coach, though. I think
he's been an assistant already for the last couple of years.
Why do Knicks fans hate him so much?
Because he was a jerk. Just like Dinwiddie. It's the same thing. He's part
of
that
What did he say
squad.
about the Knicks?
Oh, there was so much trash.
Did he really?
I can't even. Yeah, he blocked me on Twitter, Jared Dudley.
Oh, that's another thing. There's people getting blocked on Twitter. Like, it's such a pride. Like, I if I have to see somebody else tweet out a picture that somebody blocked him on Twitter, congratulations, you treated somebody like shit, and they said I don't want to fucking take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. It's like a badge of honor.
No, man,
I got blocked by him on Twitter. Yeah, he didn't want to hear you yell at him and tell you how much of an asshole he is. He said, "Fuck it, I'm not dealing with this."
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Come on.
I get it. Some people block people for no reason, and then that's weird. That was always weird to me. If somebody ever blocked me for no reason, I'd be like, "What the fuck? This guy blocked me just as we're having a conversation."
Yeah,
but and then I would put it out, but then I started to understand like the blocking thing, because people like want to bring up situations that are just like has no context, and like so then they're like, all right, you're blocked, like, you know what I mean? Or people just know, there's a group of people that don't like me on Twitter, so then people know that, and then they use my tweets and be like, oh, look at that, and then like 15 people like it within 5 seconds just because someone's coming at me, and then they get that attention. So I'm like, this guy's blocked. Like, enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, talk to me like a normal person. Like, I'm trying to have a conversation with you as a person, and then you're just like, just get out of here, man. Like, you're a child. You're either like, you're 19 years old living at your parents' house, or you're just like a freaking loser. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. I tweet a lot, and that's fine. But like, and people can call me whatever they want. But like, you know what? Like, talk to me like a person. I try to have conversations with people all day long on Twitter.
Can I workshop you an idea live on the air that would probably be more of a conversation that we would have after in our pre and post production meetings? But I had an idea for a segment.
Can we edit it out if I don't like it? No, I'm just kidding.
What's that?
So can we edit it out if I don't like it?
No. You just tell me you don't like it. So I think we have said these before, where we found our initial tweets where we the first time that we got in touch with each other.
Yeah.
And we may have read them on the air in the past.
We did once.
I'm not sure. So, but I don't think anybody could remember what they are. Here's an idea. You tell me what you think. You have your fiance, I have my wife, come on the podcast, and they read the tweets that we each wrote each other, and hear how it sounds coming from them reading them back and forth to each other.
And neither of them get Twitter, and they'll be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Like, you idiot. Spencer did whatever they might.
You said something about Julius Randle. You're like, that's like Julius Randle missing a free throw or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's a great joke, buddy. And you're like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? I'm like,
what do you think of what do you think of having them read our initial Twitter exchange on the? We don't have to do it live. We could record it. Play it back, so we don't have to. We can do this later.
They got to make sure their hair is right. They got to do their whole thing.
It'll just be an audio thing. We'll just do that where we'll have them recorded, go back and forth. But I do think it has to be them together live
for sure.
Then they could add a little nuance to it, but just workshopping that idea. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. I think they would like that. And then if you're more included in the podcast, and then it'd be kind of funny, you know?
All right, cool. You
the bad weather wives.
BWW. All right, you ready for the poll question? And then of course we've got Joel and Trump.
Before we get to the poll question, I wanted to bring up the end of the story from last week from the poll question. Our buddy Nickinator at Nickinators. Remember, he said he took his brother's a Nets fan, And he was like, what do we do? Like, we something came up with a poll question last week and was like, well, what do we do? Like, I know his brother is a Nets fan and invited him to the Nets Bucks playoff game. And I was like, you should go with your brother. So I asked him what happened with that story. Did you end up going? And he goes, oh, my bro, he flaked on the tickets. He was supposed to secure playoff tickets versus the Bucks, and it fell through. Something about the COVID restrictions, but I don't remember. That's a Nets fan for you, he said. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Nets fan talking a lot of smack, and then nothing comes of it. It's just what it is, man. Like 2 years, you got all these stars, and then 2 years later, you don't have a championship. You know what I mean?
You have to start with this story. Then you have to end with you don't have a championship. I know they don't have a championship. I saw them. I saw them lose. It sucked.
Yeah, no, it's just it's right down your alley, man. That's what it is, like it's good. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. So shout out to Nickinator. He's my boy.
Thanks.
So, so the poll question of this week, Knicks fans, are you buying the Zion, ESPN, Knicks, and CAA conspiracy theory? Yes, no, or I don't give a F. What do you think won?
I don't give an F.
Actually, no one. 43.7% no. 34.7% I don't give an F, and 21.6% yes. Almost 500 votes. So it's a good amount of votes. So
that is a good amount.
So that's a pretty good gauge. And, I had to put the I don't give a fuck point in there because I think there's a lot of Knicks fans that are just like, oh my God, who cares? And that's how I feel. Mm-hmm. And I'm not buying it, and I don't give it, for both. You know what I mean? I should have put a fourth one, no, and I don't give a damn. That should have been the fourth.
And a sprinkle of yes.
And a sprinkle of yes. The 21.6% was scary hours in all his accounts. Just like, yes.
Smartest Nets fan I know.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've decided scary hours is really burner for Kevin Durant.
It's Sean Marks. It's Sean Marks
Sean Marks. Yeah. I'm decided that scary hours.
It's Sean Marks.
Who are you really?
Can you shoot out a picture of yourself? No, I'm just playing. So for the poll question, some shout out. So we have our boy Coonies, a second shout out on the show. He goes, nope, sports journalism is hardly journalism these days. Everything muddied. A lot of them are just mouthpieces at this point, carrying water for anyone who will give them time. And then New York Sports Dork, so at New York _sports_dork. Yep, he responded to Coonies. Yep, someone wanted more clicks, and here we go. The whole free agent topic is becoming very boring to me, weakening my interest in the league altogether. And then Coonies responded with a great tweet, and he said, almost all of the sports content I consume these days is fan created. No need for ESPN or most of these journalists anymore.
That's an interesting topic, and I think that sort of developed a lot. As this last couple of years has been terrible, but I think from it is technology has become more accessible for the everyday person.
Right.
But I think you're seeing a lot more content from everyday fans like us. That's now provided for people because people understand more how to use this equipment. So it's kind of like, I guess, a positive from everything is that outcome that, you know what, there's more individualized kind of content that you're looking for because it's more accessible. And people now, out of necessity, this was here before, but people just had to learn because they had no other options. Like, hey, how do we do Teams? How do we do Zoom meetups? How do we do this? Like, we have to learn because we're not going to the office anymore. And it's also helped create more great content that's out there for all the fans of the team they're looking for.
Sorry, there's a bug on my table. I'm trying to kill it. But yeah, no, I hear you. And I'm like slamming the table like that was like a freaking like water bug flying across my hand. But no, it's true. And over the last couple of years, ever since Twitter was created, maybe the last 10 years, people have been getting more annoyed by reporters overall because you can see it now more than you could in the past. Like people pick up a newspaper, read a story, you're like, whatever, and then you can move on with your life. Now and you maybe listen to sports radio. Now it's like you see the stories are being created in the nonsense that's out there, and you're like, dude, that's not what happened. That's not what he said in the press conference. I saw it on TV. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Isolas of the world and shit, So it's just like you're creating stories and nonsense out of nowhere and Bermans and stuff like that. And it's like, what are you talking about? And fans are getting fed up with that stuff. And now with the pandemic, my theory is now that the reporters don't even have the credibility that they can hold over fans' heads, be like, well, I'm in the locker room and I'm actually talking to players. Like, you're not in the damn locker room. I'm watching the same Zoom calls as you. All you're doing, some reporters are doing, is copy and paste the Knicks PR tweets. Like, Knicks say, Nerlens Noel has a knee injury. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then they're like, oh, Knicks say, that's just like, come on, man. Like, I got the same tweet. Like, you know what I mean? What did you do? What do you know? Like, what do you know more than me? Like, you don't know anything. You know what I mean?
A big
So,
part of
it's part of it.
a big part of being a reporter was the access that you did get when you got into a locker room and the
Right.
relationships that you built from knowing the players. And that's how you got scoops. That's how you got stories. And that's how you broke everything that you needed to as your job. So it's definitely gotten harder on that front, where if you're just going in and logging into a Zoom meeting, that creates a tricky proposition.
Right. And a reporter can get a scoop from a player off the record when they're pissed about a loss because a coach didn't play them or something. Be like, man, a coach is such a fucking asshole. And like, he didn't play me and put me in that time. And then the next day you can be like, rumblings in the locker room. Knicks players are not happy with coach. You know what I mean? Like, now, like, you have a Zoom call, you can get your frustrations out and you can just get off and like go home. Like, like somebody like Julius Randle, he's mad about something. He doesn't have to sit there and at his locker for an hour talking to somebody. He can just go. Like, does his 20 minutes and go home. And there's no like extra thing. It's better. The players probably like this so much. The pandemic, like, I'm sure they don't like the pandemic, but I'm sure they like the less access
with the media.
No,
I would
privacy.
think so. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, I buy that.
Look at Cooney's, man, creating content for us, man. Like, this is the second thing that he did today, man. Good for him.
Who?
Cooney's. That was his. Yeah. Oh, he's
Never heard of him.
I thought he said he did say who. So our other boy, Bobby B at Rude Boy NYK. He goes, I don't give a F. Zion always wanted to come here regardless of CAA conspiracies. Oh, he goes, CAA conspiracies. If he comes in, it's simply because the Pelicans are a trash franchise from the days they ran out of Charlotte, who burns through generational talent, and the Knicks are an attractive destination now. So cry haters, which is true, because look at the Pelicans. They got Anthony Davis and they got Zion Williamson, and they have nothing to show for it. I mean, do they even have one playoff series win? I don't think so. They got to the playoffs once, on that one time they won the last game 82 with Monty Williams, and Anthony Davis got into the playoffs. I don't know if they got any, like, many other times if they did.
Well, Zion's also still 14 years old. So on that end of things, like, he's still a baby. I mean, you got to remember that too. And he's shown that he's made progress to be
he's on his third coach now, though. Is it right?
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, the Anthony Davis thing is a whole different conversation. Yeah, right. I hear you on there. But for Zion, it's so early in the process.
Right.
Another coach. This is going to be his third coach in 3 years. Right. Like,
it is right. It is his third coach, right? I know we had Stan last year, but he only lasted 1 year.
Who was the coach of the Hornets? I'm
was it Hollins? Lionel Hollins? I might be making that up.
Lionel. I don't think. No, he
Not
was
Lionel
an assistant
Hollins.
with the Lakers.
What the hell's his name? Now I got to look.
Who was the head coach of the Pelicans before?
Was it that? Didn't he used to be involved with the Nets in some way? Hold on.
Look it up. I gotta know it. Okay, guys, check out Bad with the Fans. Yeah. Give us a 5-star rating. I will now become a robot that will tell us all of the things.
Oh, Alvin Gentry.
It was Alvin Gentry.
I always confuse Lionel Hollins and Alvin.
It was Alvin Gentry.
That's fine. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, okay. So more shout outs. Let's see, one more. We'll do one more, and then we'll move on. It goes Anthony Williams. He's at Doubo DOUBO 24. Goes, does Zion want to play for the Knicks? Possibly. Does Zion want to play for the Knicks because he's being manipulated by his agency and ESPN? I doubt it. That's perfectly put. It's just this is the way it is. Like, there's no.
He's going to the Nets. He'll go to the Nets when Durant's too old. Let's be honest.
That's the next one.
All right. Hey, here's Zion coming to the Nets. I mean, things will have changed by then. The mercenaries. No one wants to play for the Nets except the mercenaries all signed extensions.
Yeah. Who wants to play for a bunch of 35-year-olds and the mercenaries? No, but it's just like it just makes you have these stupid conversations like the old Jordan LeBron debates, because then you have this conversation about Zion on one side. It's like, well, you saw him at the draft lottery. He literally was ushered out of the room because he was mad that the Knicks didn't win the lottery when it was down to the Grizzlies, Pelicans, and the Knicks. Like, where would you rather go as a person, as Zion Williamson? You're the man coming out of college, like the highest touted player in a long time. And you see the Knicks are one of the last three, and you go to New Orleans. Like, you know what I mean? Even if you went to Memphis, you'd be like, what is going on, man? Like, can I go to a real team? Can I go to the Bulls? Can I go to the Heat? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even Atlanta, you know what I mean? Like, do something like that, but like, that's rough. But, John Morant, props to him. He loves it there, and he's doing well.
He's doing great.
It is what it is, man. But nobody knows who John Morant is outside of NBA circles. I don't think anybody knows who Zion is either outside of NBA circles. The name is very distinct. The name is very distinct, I guess. Yeah, and Duke was big for him. That's true.
Yeah, it's funny. His Duke games are more must-see TV than his NBA games.
Yeah, and can you imagine how much money he would have made in college if they had this new rule, like when they can make money in college? Holy crap. He would have cashed in, dude. Cashed in.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Jersey number trivia?
Dolan number trivia. We're trying to guess the Nets Knicks numbers on the back side of things. And Dolan is the sponsor. Follow him on Twitter at Dolan_J_Trump. And he's got some great Knicks merchandise. If you're interested in that, just check out his Twitter page. And he is now 1-4 against us in trivia. I have a feeling I'm not getting it this week because he is pissed, and
I think you'll get it. I do. I have faith in you. I think this is an easy one for you.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Let me go. You know what? You go first.
I'll read
I'm already
you.
saying what you want to go first.
I'll read to you this time. Bad weather fans is the relation. I'm reading to you first. Okay.
Okay. Fine. Let's go.
And let me say this. I got this.
Oh yeah.
Because what I do is
you try to guess it on yourself.
I read it, and as I go along on the clues, I see if I can get it. Like, I don't jump to the end. I want to see if I can do it. I got it.
All right. Sounds good.
Which is the clue.
Let's see.
He wore number 18 during his own. What's that?
Sasha Vujacic.
No, during his only season as a Knick, he wore number. Can I read? He wore number 18 during his only season as a Knicks. No, he can't write. He wore number 18 during his only season with the Knicks during the 2010-2011 season.
2010, 2011. It's not Sasha.
No, unless he's wrong. That's the only clue he gave this week to make it tough.
Seriously?
No. He played 10 seasons in the NBA after being drafted by Chicago in the second
Roger
round.
Mason Jr.
You got it.
Didn't he do that one already?
No, I did that one.
You did that one a while ago. Yeah.
Long time ago. But I didn't want to say it. If he doesn't know the podcast, he doesn't know the podcast.
He can't get me, man. It's just what it is. You want to read the rest of the since he spent so much time writing up these perfect,
and you guess where I figured it out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. A true journeyman. He played for 7 different organizations, including stints in Greece, Israel during his NBA career. He played college basketball at the University of Virginia. That's Roger where I got
Mason Jr. And he plays in the Big Three tournament. Didn't he play in the Big Three?
I think he was the commissioner of it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. His best season in the NBA took place during the 08-09 season, where he averaged 12 points as a Spur. He averaged just 3 points and shot very poorly in his limited role for the Knicks, despite being a 38% three-point shooter. His uncle Fred, a high school physics teacher and great guy, attended new teacher orientation in the same school district as Dolan J. Trump.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. No, that's funny because Roger Mason Jr. is one of those Knicks that was totally out of my brain. And until that jersey number trivia that we did, because what we used to do is per episode, we used to guess a number. And then once we got to like the higher numbers, we would just guess random numbers and random people. And then
let me ask you this. Should I have then said to Dolan, hey, Alex got this one already. Let's get a new one. Or
did you remember? If you remember,
I remembered that you did.
Oh, then you probably.
So I fucked up.
Yeah, but you know what? It's he can't catch me, man. We've done this. We've been doing this now for like at least 50 episodes, 40 episodes. So like we've gone through a lot of numbers. So like we're kind of experts at this number stuff now. You know what I mean? Like
we are getting better. We are getting better. I don't think I'm getting this one today. I'm not trying to set myself up. I feel like he's coming after me today.
You know what it is also? Sometimes it's not even about the number. You can just get the clues and kind of guess the player. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of see a number in your head, but like you're like, is it this guy? Like, and you're just like,
should we do it without the number then to make it harder?
That could be a jersey number trivia without jersey numbers. That'd be pretty tough.
next level.
Geez. Now I got a citizen alert. You know, a citizen alert with the crime. Like I'm trying to read this thing and it goes.
I don't even want to know.
It goes. Person stabbed in back. Officers are with the victim awaiting medics in Midtown. I'm like, damn, I'm just trying to read my jersey number trivia.
Yeah,
like the citizen alerts are aggressive.
I gotcha.
Sorry to the person that happened to, though. By the way, but still. So anyway, if it's true, because sometimes citizen alerts are BS.
Yeah.
So that's another conversation. So anyway, jersey number trivia for the Nets. He wore number 34 during the 2005-2006 season, his only year in jersey. 34.
Hold on, let me think. 34, 2005-06?
Yeah, 06 season.
05-06.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he signed as a free agent after playing 2 years in Houston.
I don't know if I'm going to get it. Let me just think for a second. 05-06. So 01, 03, 04. Okay. The 506. I got 0506 in my head. He came from Houston. Okay.
He appeared in 62 games and averaged just over 3 points per game at the power forward position.
That makes sense. Do we get the school? Is that at the end?
That's at the end because you're the school and draft guy. Those tips have to be at the end.
All right. I think yeah.
There's one more before the school.
Hold on. I got it. Did he go to Kansas?
No.
He didn't go to Kansas. He didn't go to Kansas.
Close.
Okay. Though. Okay. Did he go to Kentucky?
Yes. It's a huge school. So it's
a
school. Yeah. It's like,
is it the same Scott Padgett?
It is. It is. You got it. See, I knew you'd get that one. That's like the kind of guy you can't.
I thought here's the thing.
Yeah.
I thought Scott Padgett went to Kansas.
And
I made them think, but I knew it. But here's the Houston clue gave it away.
Mm.
And I remember him coming because I was all excited because it was a good shooter that could go around kid.
Yeah. Somebody good. So he played 8 seasons in the league for Memphis, Houston, and Utah. Utah drafted him 28th overall in the 1999 draft out of Kentucky and was NCAA champion playing alongside Alex's boy, Nazir Muhammad, Jeff Shepard, and Jamal McGlure. That's a pretty good team.
I think that's the first one we ever. That's the first time we had him as a guest, though.
Yeah,
that was new.
Definitely.
Whew. Well, you won that round because you got it earlier.
Yeah, but it was kind of a fugazi one, So
I love these texts. Like, I'm now making it harder. Well, then are you?
Man, are you? He did
find
get
a guy
once.
that played. Find a guy that played for the Knicks for 7 games in 1996 and go with it. Or like
90s Knicks, you're not catching me. So
2007, Net was on the team for 8 days and then got cut on a 10-day contract.
Right.
Give me Doug Overton.
Give me somebody. Give me like number 4 from 1982, and like then I'm not gonna get that. You know, that'd be tough. But anyway, buy
the merch. Buy the merch.
Dolan J. Trump. Yes.
Buy the merch. All right. This has been episode number 79 of Bad Weather Fans. Thank you guys for coming on and listening and checking it out. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, all the good places. 5-star rating. Leave a comment. And then if you want to see the video portion of it, you want to see our pretty faces, head on over to YouTube, type in Bad Weather Fans. And we will figure out how to get our significant others involved in this concept.
Yes.
We will fan it out in our post-production meeting. But Alex, another great episode in the books. Always enjoy it. And, Knicks suck.
Yeah. And if you love the podcast, Bad Weather Fans, you want to continue to support us, download the episodes. You can delete the download right after. Download them. It helps us out a lot. Thumbs up on the video. Subscribe on all apps. Help us out. We'll keep growing. We're growing. We want to keep going. Thumbs up.
Give me 2 thumbs up together.
Thumbs up.
This could be the Twitter video. All right, Alex.
Thumbs up. Download the episodes. 5 stars. All of the above if you love the podcast. If not, just listen and we'll entertain you.
Who's Coonies?
Kunal ____.
Love you, Coonies. I'm kidding. See you later, guys.